Welcome everybody. I'm Imogen Lamport from the Academy of Professional Image, here to help you today with this tough time that we happen to be in at the moment. Hope you're all well and coping with this. So I'll get started because time is precious, even if we seem to have more of it. So one of the things I think it's really important to remember is that a lot of the psychologists and psychiatrists are actually saying that we're actually experiencing trauma at the moment. You know, our entire lives have changed. I don't know about you, but I was supposed to be in India right now running some training courses. Everything I had planned for this year has just disappeared out from under me. And I'm sure you all are experiencing similar things like that as well. The sound's disappeared. Are other people hearing it? Can you hear the sound? I can hear. Okay, all good. Might check your own, just check your speaker level. Yeah, so everything that we had planned for this year has really just disappeared. And I think, you know, that is traumatic in itself because, you know, there are things we look forward to, there's things that we have planned to do, and it might have taken a lot of time and energy to plan as well. Things we had thought, this is what I'm going to do, and then suddenly it's all gone. So what do you do when it's all gone? I think if you are having no sound, it might be to do with your own speaker level because other people can hear. So I'm assuming if other people can hear, then there is sound. So hopefully that's it. Sometimes logging out and logging back in again, if you've got no sound, can be the way to deal with this as well. I always find with these things, you know, always turn everything off, turn everything on again. That often fixes things. I used to be married to an IT tech engineer who basically would not even talk to you until you'd turned everything off and on again. So I would advise that if you can't hear, assuming everybody else can still hear me. So experiencing trauma. So it's, remember, when we're in trauma, a lot of our brain space is being taken up with stuff that is not related. And so, you know, it is one of those things that if it's not related to, you know, what you want to be doing, it just takes up space, but it allows less space for you to be doing the things you want to be doing. And you know, and there's a lot of, you know, extra emotion and feeling, and people are going towards depression. I know there's a lot of things going on. So I think, you know, one of the most important things to think about is to just give yourself a bit of space and time. There we go. Just had to type a little message out. So the things I think are really important is to look after your mental health first. Remember, in the end, your mental health is the most important thing, as well as your physical health. Make sure that you are looking after both of those things. Look after your relationships because this is a pretty tough time. And, you know I'm used to working from home alone, and I know many of you would be like me. And to suddenly have 3 other people home, and sometimes 5 other people home at the same time as me, and, you know, nobody goes out, it can be, for me, I find it really hard to deal with at times. So we can get short, we can get crabby, we can not behave quite as we would want to around the people that we love. So I think it's really important also to set some boundaries around kind of this aspect of your life. And if you're trying to work from home, you need to set some boundaries around when people are allowed to interrupt you. If you can have a signal, if somebody needs to talk to you, can they make a signal rather than just barging in? Because you might be in the middle of, you know, some great idea or thought, and they can, you know, throw you off track. So do think about how you're going to deal with these things. And hopefully many of you by now are starting to kind of get into a rhythm of this. I know we are, and I've kind of got used to the idea that everything I was going to do this year is gone. but it's still not easy, and some people will struggle much more than others, and that's one of those things as well, because we're wired differently. I think in many ways I'm wired quite luckily for this. Like, this is my idea of not a bad time having to stay at home, versus some of my extrovert friends. I know for them this is a total nightmare. This is incredibly difficult for them. So really, it's, different people will find things different, and some things easier and some things harder, depending on your situation, of course, where you are in the world as well. But, one of the things too is, all these things need to come before, business, but business has still got to be there. And for many of us, I mean, my business keeps the roof over my head. It feeds my kids. It pays for them to do activities, and, it pays for some holidays and all those sorts of things. It's really important for me to keep my business going, and I'm sure it's really important for you as well, which is why you are here. So I wanted to, start thinking about some strategies today. So one of the things to do is to stop thinking about what you can't do. Often it's like, well, I can't go out and I can't do this and I can't see clients and I can't, and we get stuck on the what I can't do, and think about, what can I do instead? What are my options? Because what this is doing is making us think around the problem, out of the box, in a different way than we've had to think before. I always love this quote from Charles Darwin: it's not the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, but those who can best manage change. And one of my mother's, sayings when I was growing up is this: change is as good as a holiday. She used to say to me all the time. And I think it's because, there's the one thing in life that you are guaranteed is change. So you will, you'll need to accept that change is going to happen, whether you like it or not, and whether you're prepared for it or not. Enlarging the screen, it's have to be on your computer. It'll be a setting. There's usually a thing down at the bottom corner of your computer, Nanda, to enlarge screens. So how we'll survive and how we actually thrive through this. What's really fascinating, if you look at some of the businesses that were started during the global financial crisis, these are Uber. I'm trying to think of, there's a bunch of these sort of online, businesses that grew in the last financial crisis. So this is about being nimble. This is about being flexible, and doing something new in a new way. So in many ways, your ability to adapt and be flexible is going to be one of the things that helps you survive. One of the things I'm loving is that I'm not a great big business with 4,000 employees who all have specific jobs, and suddenly it's like a big ship. If I have to turn a big ship around, that takes a lot of time and effort and expense. Versus if I'm just a little rowboat, I can turn around on myself. And that's one of the benefits of where we are, is that we are small businesses who can change strategies really fast and quickly. Some of the other things I think it's really important to remember is to stay away from the negative news, don't compare yourself to others. That also is something that's very negative, is to constantly compare yourself to other people. To start thinking outside the box, think differently. So it's like the Apple slogan, which is, think different. It's don't do it, just because I've done it this way all the time and that's how I was trained to do it, doesn't mean that's how you always have to do it. Have a growth mindset. If you know what a growth mindset is, it's a can-do mindset rather than a can't-do mindset. And there's a fantastic book by Carol Dweck. I think she's also got a TED talk on it, talks all about what the growth mindset is. So if you've never looked at that, I highly recommend Carol Dweck's information about the growth mindset. And then think about your long-term goals of what can you do and plan for in the future. Because this is not going to last forever. It may change our world in a way that we've never seen before, but these things happen over time, and we have to adapt to the new times. So of course, the first thing to do is to look after your own mental health first. If you are struggling, there's nothing worse than just sitting in front and think, I've got all these hours of the day and I'm going to sit in front. I've got hours and hours and hours to be productive. I'm going to sit in front of my computer all day, every day. And and you know, it might not be the best thing for your mental health to be doing that. Maybe you need to get up and do some exercise. Maybe you need to go and do something else. In fact, there is some really good research into creativity and how to come up with creative ideas. And what you actually do is you grab a piece of paper and you write your idea down on a piece of paper. Then, you know, or the thing you want to come up with. So say you've got a problem. So what is my problem? So it could be, I want to think of a new way of doing a consultation, or say I want to do, you know, like whatever it might be. There's lots of different problems we all might have. So you write that problem down on the piece of paper. Then what you actually do is you go away. So, but you go and do something. So you can go for a walk. You can do a simple, like probably a bit of Candy Crush or something like that. You can, maybe go and, have something to eat. Do things that don't require a lot of brain power, but don't interact with other people, and don't watch television or watch movies or go into social media. They are not going to help you. You want to do something that's more related to, it could be just even going doing some cleaning, make a Lego model of something, like do a bit of your jigsaw puzzle, those sorts of things that don't require, mental space, but have you doing things. Then when you come back to your piece of paper, about 20 minutes to half an hour. So we're not doing this for a really long period. We're just giving ourselves a bit of a break. Come back 20 minutes to half an hour and then just start writing, and write anything that comes to your brain, and come back to that piece of paper and write on that piece of paper. They have found that longhand works much better for this rather than on a computer screen. There's something about the brain to hand relationship. So just start writing anything. And it could be, I started to write about, like, maybe my problem has nothing to do with what I'm going to eat for dinner tonight, but maybe that's something that pops out. You can write anything, but you'll find after a short period of time that the creative ideas will actually start flowing. So this is actually quite a well-researched way of getting your, problem solved, coming up with ideas if you are feeling stuck. So this is one way you can think about, how do I turn this into something great instead of it being a tragedy? I know, like, the minute like this all happened and clients just were like, cancel, trips canceled, everything canceled. And I just watched, my year's income disappear. And I'm sure many of you have been feeling the same way. And it's very stressful to have that. So this is a little technique to help you turn, like those problems, find the solutions, find some ideas, do some brainstorming. And it works particularly well when you're on your own. So you don't want to be around other people when you are doing this. We want to think about, in tough times, we really want to think about protecting our assets. This is really important. You want to and you might think, well, what are my assets? I'm not a big business with a lot of stock. I'm not, like, there's a lot of things, but I will actually give you some tips on what some of your assets are. I want you to rethink how your business model works. This is a time to go, is what I've always been doing the way that will actually work into the future? One of the things that's happened in other things, like the digital revolution, you watched Kodak and camera companies go out of business because they hadn't gone digital fast enough. So they didn't rethink their business model. You watch all the bookshops that have disappeared, all those things, because they didn't, like, how do I turn this into something online? You look at the video stores. Where's the video stores? Who came out? Netflix. Now, Netflix was another one of those companies that came out. And they originally started having vending machines of videos in supermarkets. So Netflix wasn't originally online, but they had their vending machines of, DVDs and things in the supermarkets you could borrow from there. And then they went online. They really rethought about their business model. Finding new revenue streams. So this is, well, how do I get online? How do I find new ways of making money now that other things have dried up? So how are you going to pivot? And of course, in the end, this is going to make your business stronger in the long run. So in the long run, the more you have multiple streams of income, different ways of getting income, you are protecting your business. If you only have one way of doing things, if that disappears, everything disappears. And I think one of the things that I have found that's helped me get through, the last GFC and hopefully this time as well, is the fact that I have a broad spread of income streams. So when one dries up, like the personal consultations have dried up in one-to-one consultations in person have dried up, I've still got other revenue streams happening. And that's a really important thing to think about when you are doing your business. So what I want you to do now is picture a world where this crisis is actually over. So it's all over. It's back to sunshine and butterflies and flowers. Do people still want what you have to offer? And, hopefully, and I think for us, absolutely the answer is yes. People will always want what we have to offer. And this is because we are helping them have confidence. We are giving them skills that they were never taught in school. We always have to wear clothes. One of the benefits of what we do is, unlike many jobs where that thing may disappear, is we're not going to suddenly become a nudist society. We're always going to have to wear clothes, even if we are working from home, which may become a much bigger part of people's lives. But we've still got to wear clothes, and clothes really influence how we feel about ourselves. So what we have to do now is navigate this short term, even though it's really tough. And we don't know how long this is going on for. Some countries are talking about opening up again, but there's a lot of talk about that's going to re-spike, and there's a lot more stuff to come. This is not going to be over in a short period of time. I know here in Australia, we know we're not going to be allowed to travel. Our borders will be shut until there is a vaccine, most likely. Or there is such herd immunity in the rest of the world, or, I don't even know. But basically, I'm not going to be able to go anywhere outside of Australia for an awfully long time. So, we have to navigate this short term, even though other things have changed. So I always think it's really important to remember that if you're doing something that matters, knowing this will help you to keep going, because it's very easy when we're in a tough time and you're not feeling so good about it to give up. So remember that, what you do matters, and it matters to people, and it helps people. And this is a really good thing. Finding a driving statement. I don't know here, has anybody got a driving statement for their business? I've got a driving statement. It's my why. It's my why I do this. It's a really useful thing to develop. Love to know if anybody's got one as well, but really it's something to, pin up on your wall, pin up on your computer screen, something that you can look at, and it reminds you, why am I doing this? What gets me excited about it? Why did I want to come into this industry? How do I want to help people? Because if you can remind yourself of that reason, that'll help you keep going when it is difficult. So don't just give up. And often emotional responses, just having an emotional response is not particularly helpful. So a solid belief that you'll eventually make it through this will help you and also your mental health. So of course, we have some pitfalls that may happen along the way. And this is where, the pitfalls is, the first one a lot of people do is just go, I'm giving up. I forget about it. I've got no clients. Nobody can come. I can't go and see anybody. That's it. It's over. And they just straight give up. That is, I like this little graphic. It's like there's a hole in front of you, but I could go around it. I can go over it. I can build a bridge. I don't have to just fall into the hole if I choose not to. There are other options. Yeah, it's a little bit harder, but, it's going to be, in the end, it will help you become more successful. So dealing with overwhelm is really important. So things like meditation, mindfulness, having a productive mindset, and there's tips too to help you get over, with overwhelm. And part of it is working out what really matters to you. There's a lot of, I should have, I should be, we hear all this, you should do this, you should do that, you should do something else. You've got to work out that. One of the things, my criteria that I always use because a lot of people are going, oh, Imogen, you should do this. And, oh, you'd be really great if you did that. And you should really make it, And if I'm not excited about that idea, yeah, it's probably a perfectly great idea. But if I'm not excited about it, then I'm not going to do it, because it's my energy, my emotion, my intellect, all those things have to go into it. And if I'm not excited about it, it's pretty hard to make myself do it. So this is where you want to take the ideas, and this is one of the ways to get out of overwhelm is when there's all these shoulds happening around you, and this feels like it's, like they'll say that, overwhelm is like a stress cloud that's hanging over you all the time. And then as, we're feeling really, really, really stressed, and along, comes some, new thing, and then this anxiety just goes up because I just don't even know how to deal with it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get on social media and I'm going to watch some more cat videos. So it is one of those things to think about, is just how your stress, you can deal with that overwhelm. And part of that is going, well, what are the ideas that really excite me? Because it's very easy to take action on ideas that excite me. It's very hard to take action on ideas that don't excite me. And I've also got like a little special for you because you decided to come and watch this. I've got a little productivity hacks, little mini course that I will be sharing with you at the end of this webinar as well. I'll share with you a link to go and get that. But it's got how to get over procrastination, like tips on getting over procrastination, how to actually become more productive, how to get the things done that you need to get done, and how to work out what's actually really important and what are the things that excite you. One of the other things that happens is when we're in a recession and money starts drying up, we can cut too deep. We can basically go, I can't afford to spend any money on anything. And we just cut really deep. So you want to think about cutting the fat, but not the muscle. If you cut into the muscle, if you cut too deep, you actually will end up hurting yourself more. So sometimes, it's worthwhile going, it's worth spending money on these things right now because in the long term, that's going to help me. So reduce the luxury, but don't get rid of everything. But it is worthwhile spending some time to look around and going, am I paying for things that I really don't use? And then the other thing you want to do is define your business assets. So what are your assets? Because it's one of those things as an image consultant, go, well, what are my assets? I don't have like lots of stuff. Now, there is the cash you have in your bank. There is any inventory. So you might have some makeup, you might sell, I know people who sell all sorts of different bits and pieces. So you might have some scarves or jewelry or clothing or, whatever it is that you sell. You've got some assets there, color swatches, all these things are assets in your business. Or if you've got any receivables owed, do people actually owe you any money? Maybe it's, you need to actually follow up on making sure that money is paid to you. Do you have a team of people, whether they're a virtual team, whether they're some, people that you outsource like little jobs to here and there? These are actually great business assets too that you have. Who's your community? Do you have people who, on your Facebook group or something? They are your community. Or, you've got your client relationships as well. So you've got the people that you already have dealt with, have already paid you some money. They're really important assets to your business. Who's your audience, your wider audience, who may just come and read your articles or be on your newsletter list? Your newsletter list is a massive asset to your business. Your audience is a massive asset because these are people who are interested in knowing what you have and what you've got, and therefore are more likely to spend some money when the time is right for them. Your traffic funnel, so any sort of like autoresponder systems or email systems that you have set up that help bring you people to you and your business, massive asset. The content you've already produced, so if you've written blog posts and articles or done podcasts or videos or YouTubes or anything like that, Instagram, all this stuff is actually a part of your business assets. What have you created? Any products, any programs, so, whether they're workshops or, one-to-one programs, group programs, all that sort of stuff. Basically, the knowledge and skills that you've actually acquired over the years. You think about how much time and effort have you gone to acquire that knowledge and skills. It's quite considerable for many of us. I didn't, become like this, overnight. This was something I went and did a training course, and then I did another training course, and I've gone to many conferences, and I've attended webinars, and I read widely, and I think about things. There's lots of, and I've practiced on people and all that sort of stuff. This is a massive asset. Without that knowledge and skills, my business is pretty much nothing. And then there is your brand. So what is the value you have created around your brand over time. So they're all business assets you want to think about protecting them. So creating an action plan on how you can protect your assets and then grow them into the future is something really important. And then what to do now, tomorrow, next week, next month. Making your plans and following through. And one of the things I've done for you who have come to watch this video is I've created a little short guide on how to work out how to protect your assets, which assets are really important to you and are going to keep you going, and how to create an action plan. So after this webinar, I will be emailing you a link to the page where you can rewatch the webinar if you want to, but also you can access these bonus resources as well. So you've got to be aware that right now you might find it hard to create additional revenue compared to normal. And you might find, revenue's gone down. And for some of us, it might even be, I need to get a part-time job stacking shelves in a supermarket for a while. If that's, where you are in your business, but you still have time to do other things. So one of the things I want you to think about is how can I strengthen the assets I've already got? Because when I come back, how can I assure that I'll actually be in a stronger position than before this happened? This is actually going to change many of us and our businesses for good in the long run. So things you can do, they may not create additional revenue right now, but they will certainly help you into the future, and they might even help you right now. So keep creating content. Don't stop creating content. Keep up your SEO. So SEO helps you, search engine optimization helps people find you. And the more people who can find you, the more successful you're likely to be. Because if nobody finds you, nobody knows you exist. So looking at your website and going, can I do anything to improve my search engine optimization? Adding more content always helps this, because the more content we have, the more Google comes by our websites and decides we're an important website. So these two things relate to each other very much. Think about keeping the relationships with your clients going, even though they may not be paying now, but touch base, see if you can help in some way, because maybe they really love some help and you'd assumed that they don't. So it's something to think about keeping in touch with them. Be kind and respectful too. If you have to let any staff go, that's also something. If you've got people who are employed by you and you have to let them go, be kind and respectful to people. And then, of course, I think when we've got a bit more time, this is a great time to educate yourself in a few new skills and practice those skills while you have the time. Now, I don't expect you to learn a whole new language. I think that's a bit much, but sometimes you're going, I'm just going to spend half an hour a day, watching some webinars on how to do SEO or how to create content or how to do something little. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but it's just a little bit of something. And it helps to take your mind off, things that are creating stress and anxiety in your life as well. So the silver lining to all this, and I love this photo. I took this photo the other day. I was walking the dogs in the park, and this cloud formation was really fascinating, and there was the sun peeking out behind it. And I was thinking, the silver lining in the clouds, isn't it? But this will actually force you to become more efficient. You're going to get rid of things that you might be paying for that really you weren't using. And it's very easy to get bunches of software and all sorts of things thinking I'll use these things and never actually use them. It'll force you not to waste money on things that don't matter as well. And it'll force you to be more creative. And I think the more we can, I think of creativity as a muscle. People often think of it's like some sort of mad inspiration that comes in, but really it's a muscle. The more you use your creativity, the more creative you become. Really, I know for me, I've really noticed this in all the time I've been blogging, that when I first started, I found it really hard to come up with ideas, and now I have no problem at all. And it's because I have really, worked on that muscle day in, day out over, 12 years or something now. So creativity is a muscle. Don't think of it as something you don't have. And it might be a tiny muscle right now, but the more you work it out, the better it will become. So what you want to be doing now is maintaining contact with your clients so that they don't forget you either. Ask how you can help them now that their needs may have changed. Build some build relationships with these people. Think virtual. Think, how can I do things virtually? And I'm going to give a few little examples a little bit later on some things you can actually do that you might go, I hadn't thought about doing it that way. Oh, I can go and do that tomorrow. Do any business housekeeping. This is a brilliant time to actually go, you know what I'm going to do is create, one of the things I do is create email signatures. For every email I have to write basically the same thing multiple times, I create an email signature for it. So that means I don't have to keep typing out that same, kind of response multiple times. I create an email signature for it. Maybe it's looking at what's my pre-consultation questionnaires. Maybe it's look at what's my process. What are the different things that I'm doing that I could actually do better? And of course, get the accounts up to date, do all those sorts of things that, when we've got a bit more time that we often put to one side because we're busy doing the work. This is the time to do those things. And even if it's clean out your office, go through your files. What are you holding on to that really doesn't matter anymore as well? And then, of course, take some time to learn something new. So how can you help people? So remember, when people take action, they take action through both pain and pleasure. So the thought is, can you give them some pleasure or can you help them ease their pain? One of the pieces of feedback I've been having a lot recently from clients is that, particularly the people in my online groups, is that they're loving actually having a bit more time to spend having fun, playing in their wardrobes, and that they're using style as a distraction. It's a distraction from the other stuff that's going on. So it's a nice distraction for them. It gives them something else to think about. So giving them some pleasure in a time of pain. So, when you're connecting with them, building your brand, you always want to be a positive force, and you want to take their minds off the doom and gloom as well. Something to, go, can I be positive? Can I be helpful for them? So if you want to serve your tribe well at the moment, you want to think about, creating innovative packages that help them at this time around their needs. So create virtual offers that serve these needs. So it's thinking about, well, maybe what do we need to do? Like, I might not work the way I always worked, but I can do it in a new way. So adjust your messaging so they know what is available, because if you've only got all the old things that you did on your website, then they don't know that you've actually got something new. So it's worthwhile going, I need to create a new page on online services or online packages, all those sorts of things. And what am I going to offer people? Maybe it's a combination of, I do some virtual wardrobing, we do some outfit selection, we do a bit of a closet purge. Then we have I'll help them do some personal shopping, but I'll, all these sorts of things. And maybe I can create a package around that that's all done virtually. And so you might need to create new online systems to deliver these offerings. So this is where your IT backend comes in as well, because, having things more automated, and I can tell you not always automation works, and I've spent, a lot of time, fixing up things. There's no such thing as passive income. We often think about passive income. Nothing's passive. Always something has to be done. But at least if you get these systems working fairly well, then it's going to make your life a lot easier. So some of the virtual services you could think about are, style consultations, wardrobe sessions, online color analysis, shopping online, outfit creation, private coaching, camera presence, online interviews, reviewing outfits, personal brand coaching, style recipe, creating style recipes, personality style, all that sort of stuff. Like all that sort of stuff we can help people with virtually. We don't have to always be in the same room. Yeah, it's often more fun to be in the same room. It's often easier to be in the same room, but it doesn't mean we can't do these things when we're not in the same room. And that's really important to remember. So what's really important to think about, what can I do for them now, is to think about, where are people at right now? So at the moment, my audience is at home. So what are they spending their time doing? On the whole, yes, some of my audience may still be working places. They may be essential workers, but an awful lot of people are at home. They're spending their time, but even the essential workers, their weekends, their time off is no longer out and about. It's at home. We're all kind of stuck in these little ISO cubes at home, aren't we? So they might be spending more time on social media. They might be spending, a lot of people, you see a lot of people, they're cleaning up their homes, aren't they? So is this not the best time to be wardrobe auditing? They're also using technology, and they're having to come to grips with a new way of being on this technology as well. This is also something that a lot of people have never experienced, and they're not sure how to do it well. And if you can do it well, you're going to have a lot more power than if you do it poorly. So this is a great time for you to be building your audience. So people are glued to their screens at the moment, like, more than they've ever been before. We thought we were glued to our screens before, but now we're really glued to them. So, think about doing Facebook Lives, Instagram TV, let them know some tips on organizing. That's what they're doing now. Like, get into the mindset of where people are now, because we're not offering baking tips most likely. I know suddenly gluten intolerance seems to have disappeared as everybody is baking bread all the time. But what they're doing is often a lot of organizing. This is a great opportunity for us to think about, how can I work with people when they are reorganizing their homes and their wardrobes? So I want you to communicate with your community as a leader. You're a leader. People look up to you. I mean, you might find it hard to believe, but when people follow you, they follow the leader. So this means you want to communicate with those who want your advice and support. Let them know it's important to keep yourself centered, and feeling and looking good really helps us. We all know, and there's so much research that says when you look good, you feel better. And particularly, this is like, don't stay in your pajamas all day. And in fact, get out of the activewear. Now, it might have been great for the first 3 weeks of this, where it was like, great, I never have to get dressed. And then it hits a point where it stops feeling good and people spiral into depression. So this is something we can help our clients with. So explain how important it is to help to keep your style up even when you're not leaving the house. And particularly if people are working virtually and they are on screens, people are still judging what you're wearing. Now, you might not get as dressed up as you did when you went to the office, but you still need to be looking really smart. And a lot of people just have no idea what to wear on these things. So, one of the things I like to educate my clients about is in clothes cognition. So how you dress changes how you feel about yourself. And there is some great research, and I'm sure many of you know about this research, about it was just the simple painter's coat experiment. Does everybody know about this? This was like a little experiment that they did at, I can't remember which university, where they basically got a painter's coat. So just a white coat. Then they had 2 groups of people, and they'd given them all a kind of an intelligence test to start with. So they got a baseline. Then they gave each group exactly the same painter's coat. So they all got a white coat, but they told half of them that you are wearing a painter's coat. And then they told the other half that you are wearing a doctor's coat. And then they got them all to do another intelligence test. And then they compared the results. And what they found is the people who thought they were wearing a doctor's coat all performed better and scored higher. The people who thought they were wearing a painter's coat actually scored lower than they had scored in the original baseline test. So this shows that just by putting on the clothes of what we see as an intelligent person actually makes us feel more intelligent. And so this is why, if I want to be more productive at work, so if I'm working from home and I want to be more productive, just working in my sweats is not going to give me the same mindset as an image consultant as getting into some clothes that make me feel good. Because every time I go to the bathroom, every time I see myself, I'm always aware of what I'm wearing. And for many of us, because a lot of people, you go to a networking event and people say, what do you do? And you tell them, they go, oh, who'd pay for that? Because they don't think that they are actually have such a relationship with their clothes. But I can tell you, if you think about it, how often when you remember back to an event, you remember exactly what you were wearing. Our clothes are they're close to our body. They touch our skin. They're incredibly important to us. And this is why if your house burnt down and then all your friends went, you poor thing, you've got no clothes, and just gave you a lot of clothes, the chances are you go, these are not my clothes. They don't feel right. They're not my personality. I didn't make choices about them. All those sorts of things come into it. Clothes really affect our mental health. So this is one of the things you want to explain the benefits of working on their style right now, because now is a great time to, sort the wardrobe out, plan what we're going to do next season, plan what we really need, find the gaps, fill the gaps, all those sorts of things. It'll also give them the mental and emotional strength to get through this difficult time. It's part of our self-care. Self-care is super important right now. And this is part of self-care, is our appearance. And let them know, of course, that you are here to support them. And that's something you do. So part of your online package may be email support or telephone support or text message support or WhatsApp support. You can create a support network for your client so that they go, okay, so I'm gone online and I've looked at this thing and I think it's the right color. And maybe I'm just going to send you a link and ask you, am I correct? And they can pay you for this. So when we're thinking about communicating with our community, so this is our broader community as well. So this is all the people who are in our kind of social media spheres, who follow us some way or other, who may read our articles, all those sorts of things. We want to use a 3-tiered approach. So ideally, we always want to think about 3 ways to connect with people. So email, you're most important, because these are the people who have decided that they want you in their inbox. And the inbox is a pretty special place these days. How often do you get a lot of emails from people just going, why am I getting this? Unsubscribe. So if you're getting into people's inbox, assume that that person actually really cares about what you have to say. So really important, but it's important to be there as well. And then whatever other social media, it could be Instagram, Facebook groups, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook stories, YouTube, you name it. There's a lot of different ways. Wherever your clients are, think about using those regularly. So if you have not started an email address list to build one of those, this is the time to do it. It's never a bad time to start. In fact, you should always start, because you want people on your list, because these are the people who will most likely become your clients. So you want to create, this is some time too, you've got some time to create whatever is your free download, which will help you build your list. And I've got webinars on how to create a free lead magnet, and things to think about. And it could be a video. It doesn't have to be something written. It doesn't have to be huge. Think about, it could be like a video on how to purge your closet or something. Well, what is it that people want to do right now? Well, if they're like, how to know if I should throw it out or keep it. And that could be a great little video where you could show some different examples. You could get in a wardrobe. You could, have some fun with it. And then play around. So try different things and see what people are actually responding to. What are they really liking? One of the things I've started doing is I've started doing regular Facebook Lives, and people are really enjoying them. And so that's something that I'd never really done before. I'd done, I always felt really uncomfortable doing it, but I went, I've just got to get over myself, stop putting myself in the way and just do it. And I've been doing them and I'm getting really great response, people really loving them, getting lots of people watching them and stuff. So I go, well, this is a really good way of engaging with my community and actually showing my expertise as well. And that's another important thing to think about when you're building your audience. Is part of our social media strategy is showing that we are the experts, that we can help them. So how do we know what they want help with? Well, the answer, of course, is reach out and ask them what they want to know. So what are they struggling with right now? And then use the exact words that they use. So we can often use jargon, we can talk around a thing, but often it's like use the words that they use. I always remember looking at my Google Analytics, and one of the things I noticed is that I had a lot of search traffic for get your colors done. And it was only, and I was thinking, oh, that's a really interesting sort of thing that I've got, search traffic coming from that, is because one of my testimonials had the words, I never had my, I'd got my colors done or whatever it was. And so that was in a testimonial that was on my website, because I never would have written, come and get your colors done in my web copy. But in fact, that is the terminology people were using. And then that was helping Google, send people to me, because I bet you pretty much nobody else has got get your colors done on their color, on their website, but people use that as a search term. So this is why thinking about using their terminology, because you're speaking to them in their language. So the question asked is, what have you been struggling the most with, during this time? So, and then create something to help. So it might be a video on how to keep your hair looking good when you can't get your roots done or get a haircut. Like, what are the options for the old roots? What are the options? And it could even be, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ring up my hairdresser. We're going to, get together on Zoom. I'm going to record a conversation with my hairdresser about what to do, like what products might work, what they should do, like the kind of common hair questions. And then, we're going to both put that out because, wouldn't that be a great resource for both of it? They can send it to their clients. They can put it on their social media, and I can put it on my social media with my clients. What a brilliant idea. So that could be something you could do, like, find out where people are at right now. So, you can do some free webinars. Here I'm doing a free webinar today, connecting with people. I think it's really important at this time to be connecting with people. Do your Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, introduce yourself and introduce your expertise. And here's just a few ideas you could use. So feel free to note these down. You could do 3 tips on how to look flawless on video calls. 3 ways to wear that navy blazer or whatever other piece of clothing, because it would probably depend on where you are in the season you're in. Top 5 ways I wear my statement necklace. 5 ways to shop your wardrobe. 3 things to never wear on a video conference, because there's things you should not wear on video conferences. There's certain patterns and things that the camera really can't deal with. Or the other day, actually, I have a green screen that I use when I'm doing some of my video conference stuff, and I was wearing a brooch that was in the same color, and so suddenly this brooch that was here turned green screen. So it became see-through. So that was quite funny. I was like, there's something not to wear on a video conference. And then, of course, we're currently in the change of season. So it's the change of season wardrobe. It's something to think about right now. So there's just a few ideas you could think about for doing on your social media. So remember, send your newsletters out. Contact the people who subscribe. If you don't send anything out to people for a while, like more, less than once a month, what happens is your list becomes what they call cold, and then people are more likely to unsubscribe because they forget how they even got onto your list and they don't remember who you are. They go, who is this person? I don't know who this person is. I'm deleting them. So you want to connect with them and offer useful things. Make videos, as I've been talking about. YouTube Live, there's a whole nother, thing you can do as well. Create some quizzes, create something fun. Who doesn't like on Facebook? How many quizzes are there that you can go and do? And people love doing a quiz. Think about scheduling your social media posts. And one of the things I've just done is actually create it's basically 18 months worth of social media and newsletter ideas, complete swipe file, so that if you are interested in this, you can just take this and basically, it's 18 months worth of ideas, and plus a social media calendar. So you can actually go and schedule. I'm going to schedule a month of stuff, and then I don't have to think about it again for a while. Or I can at least schedule a week or 2 weeks at a time. It makes your life a lot easier, but I give you a really great structure of how to do this. And I give you over 80 ideas, which is 18 months worth, and how to turn those 80 ideas into 7 ideas a week. So from 1 idea comes 7 ideas, and how to do this, 7 pieces of content, and then how to even turn that into, and then, all those sorts of things. Because really, this is one of those things, often it's like, I know I should be doing this, but I don't know what to put out there. So here are some ideas for you. So I've created this. It's a total swipe file. It's really easy to get. So I'll send you a link to that if you're interested. And then there are blog posts and articles too. You want to think about what else can I put out there that shares my expertise and takes my clients. The thing we're thinking about with the client is here and they want to get over to here. So how can I lead them through this journey? How can I show them that this is the result they could get if they worked with me? And that's really what we're doing with our social media. So ideas for doing some consultations. So, online, a wardrobe workout is the easiest thing right now because people are doing their wardrobes and they might be a bit stuck. I once did a wardrobe of a professional organizer, and I got into her wardrobe space and I thought, this is like the neat and tidiest and most beautifully laid out wardrobe I've ever been in. Why am I here? But you know what? By the end of it, we had this massive pile of clothes to get rid of because she knew how to store it. She knew how to organize it, but she didn't know what suited her. So she had a lot of stuff that there was nothing wrong with it. It just didn't work for her and her body. So it was like, so even though I'd walked in there thinking, where am I even going to go with this? It was incredibly useful for her. So you might want to do, how to purge your closet and make some income. You could do a declutter your closet webinar and sell that to your clients. Like, so you might sell it for quite a cheap price, but remember, like you're getting people in. And then what you could do at the end of that webinar, you could sell them something else. So you might do here's $27 how to declutter your closet. It's not expensive, much cheaper than having you one-on-one. But at the end of the webinar, they might say, but you could sell them, what I'll do is we'll do some Zoom sessions and I'll actually work with you on, 5 items, 10 items, 20 items that you're not sure about, that you've gone through your wardrobe and you just are not sure about and you want my professional opinion on. So then you could actually sell a Zoom session off that. You can also, do a session on how to sell their own clothes on things like Poshmark, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, all that sorts of stuff. You could also sell the clothes for them. They post them to you and you sell them. That's another way of doing these things. And you can work with them as they declutter their closet. So you can be in their closet with them on some Zoom sessions. So, you could just go like, get out all the things that you're not sure about. Or, like we can, you hold the phone up and you just get them in their wardrobe with their phone and you're like, working out what isn't working for them. They try the clothes on, you have a look at them just like you would in person. Wardrobe's a great place to start right now. And of course, video conferencing. This is something that a lot of people are on, and particularly if we are in a professional setting, it's really important to, be looking professional and actually to be popping off the screen because, often we end up, if there's a lot of people on the meeting, as a really tiny little box. And when you're a tiny box, you're nowhere near life size. It's very easy for you to be forgotten when you're a tiny little box. It's really important for your clients to show up and actually not have their cameras off. It's really important to have your camera on. Otherwise, are you even there? Are you engaged? So things to think about, like what to wear in your video conference. You could create 10 outfits for your client to wear from home that work on screen. So you can test them on the screen and go, yeah, that works really well. Or no, when you sit down, we see all the roles and you'll feel really uncomfortable and you feel self-conscious in that. So we need to find the things that are going to work really well, or that color pops. One of the things I noticed is like wearing a brighter color on a video conference call helps you be seen in a way that wearing neutrals just doesn't do that. You don't want to disappear into the background. You don't want to have windows behind you. You help them set up their space so that, where the camera height is. Most people have their laptops down low. And what that means is they're looking down, all the double chins appear. You really want to go, no, we want to have the camera up high. We want to get the laptop off the desk. We want to think about what's behind us. We want to think about all those sorts of things and what kind of lighting. Oh my gosh, how many people have been on a video conference where the person you're talking to is basically sitting in the dark? And it's hard to concentrate. If you're trying to look at someone who's in the dark, you'll tend to switch off much more quickly. So there's a bunch of things that the professionals who are still, working from home and working remotely have to talk to their clients. They need to be coming across as professional as they ever would normally. So creating some structures for success is having your systems working for you. Think about how can your clients book in with you? Can you do a button that they just book and it pays and it sends you an email, or it they can, you've got a calendar on there and you've blocked out the times that you're available and it just books on that calendar. There's all those sorts of things really useful to use. And it's time, if you've got a bit more time now, you can set these things up. What are the emails that you send in advance of a consultation? This is super important when we're doing virtual consultations. It's much harder to gain rapport with people. It's much harder to keep the energy up. So this is where really I want to know, things I want to know before I even start my consultation with someone is what do they want to know? What are their outcomes? But also there's a lot more preparation in doing an online consultation than there is in a face-to-face, because there's a lot of stuff you can do face-to-face that you might need them to take a bunch of photos and send them to you beforehand for your online consultation. And I am doing a webinar next week on a whole lot of specifics of online consultations as well. Like, what meeting system works for you? Do you use, Zoom, Facebook, Skype? What is the system that you like to use, and how do you want to use it? So getting really familiar with the technology as well, that's really important. So then when thinking about how we're going to support them for shopping, so what platforms will I use? So how will I work out if I'm doing online shopping? And I've been doing this. I've got a client in India who I do online shopping for, and I've had her for some years. And, she tells me, like, I like these stores. These are the stores I always like to go into when I'm in America. So I go onto those stores' websites. I pull things that I think would be good for her. I, create, put links in, images and links, and I send her that stuff so she can, and then we'll have a session where we'll talk through why I've chosen certain things. So, what platforms are you going to use? Are you going to do lookbooks? Things like Hue and Stripe is a really good tool. It's not cheap, but if your clients are using it, it pays for itself. It's a really great way of doing wardrobes and creating outfits and looking at what they've got and all that sort of stuff. So they need to be easy for them to use and seamless for you to use as well. And you want to seem to have it all under control, because that gives them confidence in you that they continue to work with you in the future beyond this time. So I think, be that beacon of light and hope. Right now you're building, the like, know, and trust essentials to get people to spend with you. Now, they might spend with you now, but you also want them to spend with you in the future. So being a source of strength, confidence, and consistency, and this is where your social media comes in. This is where we can build that like, know, and trust. This is where we can, be consistent. We can help build confidence. We can help people feel that, okay, you're strong and I can rely on you. And you're going to help them plan for their future so that they're also ready to go when this is over, because everybody's had the rug pulled out from under them. So your next steps, what are you going to do now when you leave this webinar today? I want you to think about, what's my business housekeeping? I want you to get out, a pad of paper or get a new document open, and I want you to just brain dump everything that you've been thinking about as far as what are the things I need to do, kind of like just business administration wise for my business. I need to go and do all those things. I want to set up my business system. So if they're not working, if I've not got a proper account system working, or if I haven't got an email system working, or I haven't gone and, got a, like an email program working to use to send my clients emails and stuff, I need to get that stuff working. I want to create my free downloads to promote and grow my mailing list. And I want to keep communicating with my community as well. And so this is where I want you to schedule your social media ahead of time. You just can't be on it all the time. Really, what you want to be doing is spending, maybe an hour a week scheduling it. And then it's done for the week. And you can actually then have the time to do other things. It's not interrupting you all the time. And this is where that social media calendar and swipe file of 80 plus ideas comes in, because it's going to give you a really easy way, fast and easy, to create that social media content. So creating the content, the blog posts, the videos, the live videos, webinars, programs, workshops, these are things you can do right now. You've got the time. Create your new online consultations. How are you going to do this? And then promote these to your community. So, it's this little, I love this little plant. It's just coming out of the cracks as, things will regrow. So it's how are you going to be that tough little plant that survives when nothing else does? So one of the other things is to spend some time on useful technology that you've been avoiding because you're too busy. This is often people go, oh, I need to know, like people ask me, how do I create the sets that I have in my blog posts? And I go, well, I use ShopLook. And it's like, that's great, but then they never spend the time to learn how to use it. It's actually very easy to use. How do I create lots of my images? I use Canva, I use PicMonkey. There's lots of amazing tools these days to create these things. So think about all those little tools that you've been thinking, I need to get a handle on how to do this thing on Instagram, or how to do that thing, or create an image for that. now is the time to spend that time doing it. And you probably only find you only need a couple of hours and you've done it, but you've been putting it off because you haven't had the time. Things like making videos, whether you're making YouTube videos, Facebook Lives, Lumen 5s, all those things. This is a great time to do that. And, you know, if you've got like, you know, I need to update my skills, do an online training course of some sort or other. The other thing is I think is really important this time is to be grateful. You know, if you're watching this, it means you have internet connection, which internet connection means you have electricity. You're probably you've got a roof over your head. You've got the mod cons really. And in fact, like it couldn't be a better time to have to stay at home. We have got so much connectivity to the outside world now. I think about the difference now from when I was growing up to now. It's so different. So it's not hard compared to how it used to have, you know, been. I can order stuff online. I don't have to go out. I can order things online. I can get things done. So, you know, it's also good to actually enjoy not being so busy with having to that run around. I've got to drive here and drive there and drive somewhere else. Like, even though petrol's the cheapest it's been in forever, I don't need to fill up my car because I'm, you know, only going to the supermarket once every now and again. And focus on what matters, what's really important to you. And of course, look after that mental and physical health every day. It's really important to schedule in regular exercise, to, you know, not eat the junk food, eat something good that nourishes your body, and really look after yourself and the relationships of those and, you know, yourself and those around you. Are there any questions? Today. Love to help you. So some of the things I have done to, you know, to try and help you is I've created a 12-month social media calendar plus the 18 months worth of ideas. So that's it's a really cheap little course. It's only $27. And it's, you know, I walk you through how to use it, how to find the ideas, how to turn it into lots of different social media posts, all these sorts of things, how to, you know, adapt it to be you as well. Of course, you know, I do also have the webinar library of over 50 webinars that, you know, cover many of the AICI core competencies. So if you know, you can get a year's membership for that for $170, and you can watch the, you know, 50 something hours of webinars. I also have created an online color analysis training and include now virtual drapes for my absolute color system of 18 tonal color directions. So I also have developed a whole system of how to do, you know, really good draping. And I've been testing this for years now. So this is not something I've done in the last minute. This is something I've been testing and I have found it works really well. And of course I have online personal stylist and image mastery training. So now what I just want to do is I've just got to go to another screen and grab the link. Because what I'm going to do is, if you go to the page where this webinar is of course recorded, I'm going to pop it on a page in my website, but you will also be able to get the business assets little course that are like little resource that I've created for you. So so I created this kind of like, and it's got a bunch of little videos of how to do it, how to use it, how to think about your business assets. And you'll also have, because you've come on here and you've decided to come with me here, is you will also have a link to download for free right now, because it will be a paid product soon. And I'm just popping the link into the comments here. My productivity hack. So this is another little course. It's about 6 videos. It's a document. It's really it's basically, I've been looking at all the different ways of, you know, all the people, the greatest minds who've thought about productivity, and I've tried to encapsulate it into something that is actionable and easy and doable. So yeah, so if you go there now, you will also find a little download link here. Now, you'll see if you go there right now, you'll actually discover that there's a nice video of clouds. That's where the webinar will appear once I've downloaded and uploaded it. So there's a little bit of work there for me to do that. But hopefully this has really helped you think about your business in a really more positive way, and just be kind to yourself. Don't expect yourself to sit in front of your computer 12 hours a day. That's not good for anybody. You know, there's lots and lots of ways to become more productive, and actually just sitting in front of a computer is not one of them. And thanks for coming on here, because this is really good for you to actually spend some time working on your business, not just being in the business. And this is a way to help you learn and grow. So unless there are any questions, I will, and of course you can, what's the technology? So this one's called Webinar Ninja. I got on board with this when it was like $50 for life. So like, you know, it was when it was a startup sort of thing. And it's actually, they've improved it over the years. Zoom is also great. I use Zoom lots to do, it's about $200 a year, I think, for a paid Zoom. So if you want to do webinars on Zoom, it's about $200 a year. But it's look, pretty great technology. Use it all the time. So yeah, hopefully that's that. Oops. Oh, Susan, I just missed your, what was the question? Let me have a look. Yeah, great. Okay, great. Thank you. But yeah, so technology, I'm using Webinar Ninja. Have a look at it. I don't know what the cost is these days, but it is worthwhile looking at the different technologies and working out what works for you. Webinar Ninja has been working great for me. It's very easy to use. You know, you can create private ones, you can create public ones. They also promote, so anything that's public goes into their webinar library so other people can come along. So if you're doing a free webinar, it has a good system of getting things seen outside of your own network. So that's always something to think about. No, the additional resources are on my website, not on my Facebook page. So I've just popped a link a little further up in the comments. So, and I'll also email it to everyone. I'm pretty sure I can download the list of people who've registered. So I'll email you the link as well in case you've missed it. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Em, Paula, Erica, Teresa, Sarah, Helen, Dolores, everybody, Claire, Nanda, everybody who's been along. Really appreciate you coming along today, Gina, everybody, and Jerry too. And hopefully I will see you all on the other side. So Monday, I'm doing my webinar on more specifics of, you know, more ideas on creating online consultations, things you want to think about. So that'll also be on Monday. That, of course, will be recorded. Of course, record everything, because I know time differences and people are doing things. Even in this world today, people are still doing things. So that mean they can't always be online. And, of course, it's a global world. And, you know, it's like I was going to get on a webinar the other day, and then I looked at the time. And, oh, it's 2 a.m. my time. Maybe not. So I just, you know, okay, fortunately, these things are recorded. So thanks so much. Have a lovely weekend. Look after yourselves, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye for now.